For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we, former Inter Milan striker Jurgen Klinsmann is with us. Jurgen, a really good performance from Inter today.
Well, efficient, very, very efficient, obviously. They got the 3 points. That's what they wanted and needed. I was a little bit surprised that he left out Thuram, he left out Mkhitaryan, he left out Bastoni, Barella from the beginning on. But they had then, obviously, the moment with the penalty given, and that was the game winner. I thought it was even. The whole game was fairly even, and Arsenal had their very few opportunities, especially the second half with Havertz. The two opportunities that he had to score. So it was kind of a minimal amount of work that Inter put into it, because they are already with their heads towards the weekend game with Napoli, which is the big clash in Italy. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, okay, they deserved it, maybe a little bit more than Arsenal. But overall, a game with very, very few chances. Sometimes very slow rhythm also, because Inter, after leading there, they bunkered it in a little bit, like in good old days, basically, good old Italian style, and got the 3 points.
To that point, obviously...
I thought you were throwing out a bit of bait there to Jurgen.
What's that? What do you mean?
Well, you said Inter were really good today.
Well, I think efficient is actually a better way of describing
Inter were
them.
not really good today.
But they were efficient, and it was a game that you almost felt was a distraction from the games that both of these sides have this weekend. Arsenal have got Chelsea, as Jurgen said. Inter have got Napoli. It kind of had that bit of feel.
No, it did, and the whole thing has this bit of feel where we are midway through this new format. Some teams know that they're going to be in this last 24 or whatever it is. Some are going to get a bye, all that sort of stuff. And it kind of felt like that today. Inter very good defensively, again, even with the changes, no surprise there. But, you know, to me, I'm not really remembering the 21 efforts in goal from Arsenal.
There was nothing clear-cut, was there?
If I'm being honest.
Hey, well, it must be a low bar for a shot.
And that's I think there's a bigger issue here than Inter have got this game at the weekend, the big game that Jurgen mentioned, Napoli. Arsenal now have a huge game that we were talking about against Chelsea. Theirs is a bigger problem, and their problem is they did not play badly today. The penalty was all right, it's a penalty, and they're unlucky, but that's what it is. They did not play badly, but they continue worryingly to not have a cutting edge. They didn't have a cutting edge with 10 men at Bournemouth. They didn't have a cutting edge at Newcastle. In fact, they were lacklustre. And they had a couple of chances, but they lacked any real guile or pace or invention in the final third again. And that's a worry. That's a worry for this Arsenal side, that if Saka does get negated, and we saw Odegaard come off the bench, so maybe he'll have to be thrown in at the weekend, even with a lack of game time that he's had. Because if Saka gets shut out, then you have to go to the other side. And Martinelli is hugely inconsistent. And up front, like Kai Havertz, he's workmanlike. He's workmanlike. But I was saying during the game, he's not getting in any other team in the top four. He's not getting in City. He's not getting in the Liverpool side. And dare say it, he's not even getting in the Chelsea side. So that's the guy that they're relying on as a 9 to score the goals. Now, it's not all his fault. Of course it's not. But they're not getting enough from this whole front line. And that's a big concern for them.
Yeah, it is a concern, Jurgen. They just seem to lack any invention in the final third at the moment.
Yeah, I think it was all, you could foresee certain things, certain movements. I mean, Saka got isolated there on the right wing. He barely came in the middle where he could, be of more danger. And Havertz, he had his moments, didn't use them, and then Martinelli was invisible today. And this is something that in these type of games, where especially your opponent then kind of parks the bus because they don't want to give extra, they want to spend extra energy because of the weekend game coming up. You need some extra piece. You need some one-against-one situation, shots from second row outside the box. You need Saka doing something kind of inventive, and there was nothing there from Arsenal. And now you can see, maybe in this year you can see that most of the opponents, especially today Inter, they were prepared for Arsenal's famous corner kicks. Arsenal tonight had 13 corners, and always the same that kind of made them very successful last season. But now, obviously you watched your opponent's corner kicks. You go over them over and over. So Inter was ready for them. Inter was prepared. I mean, in one circumstance is obviously Dumfries had to save the ball on the line. But they were not nervous about those corner kicks. And so this is a weapon that they used last year. Arsenal very, very successfully, which now the opponents know. And you might should kind of come up with a new version of a corner kick.
This is a huge test now for this Arsenal side.
Do you know where they
Chelsea
are?
at the weekend. Do you know what I mean? It's an early season mini crisis on the horizon, particularly if City win.
Yeah, if Liverpool win, it's 10 points.
And Liverpool win. Yeah, so it's an early season. It's not a full blown. But it is a mini crisis on the horizon, which I don't think many of us saw coming because they've generally been so consistent. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, for all the problems that we've talked about, particularly that going forward, Chelsea beat them at the weekend, and Arsenal will still be favourites. There's no doubt about that. But they're going to have to roll their sleeves up and show they can handle the pressure.
The problem is they find themselves in a situation where it's now not about how they play, how well they play. I mean, you look at stats with shots and possession. It isn't about that for them anymore. They've got to get a win. Mm-hmm. They've just got to get a win. It doesn't matter whether they're absolute garbage and they don't have any possession. It's not about that now. Now they have to get a result and they have to get a win. And having to go to Chelsea and get that win is not something that they want to really do right now.
And then look at Liverpool. I think this is one of the differences at the moment thus far. Arne Slot can manoeuvre this front line around in several different ways. He can... Jota can through the middle. Diaz went through the middle, I think, yesterday. Nunez can come in. Diaz can play off the left. Salah generally plays off the right, but he can switch it up. There's not a lot he can do. Saka plays on the right. Mm-hmm. Havertz plays kind of through the middle. And it's Martinelli or Trossard. I mean, Trossard gives him some flexibility, but he doesn't have the flexibility that Slot has with his front line. So when it's not working, or it's not working to his liking, he's kind of hamstrung a little bit. I mean, he could throw Raheem Sterling in there if he wanted, but if Martinelli's not playing well enough. But certainly, in terms of, if it's a little bit flat, Liverpool can go and make 2 or 3 changes to personnel and positioning. He can't really do that. He hasn't got the players, because his players are kind of set in where they want to be. When do you ever see Saka play in a different position?
Yeah.
He doesn't. He plays off the right, teams will double up on him, and again, it goes back to that point. If you shut him down, and if you've got no Odegaard, then you have to you're then reliant on the other side, and I'm afraid Martinelli at times is a flash in the pan. You just don't know what you're going to get from him in terms of consistency.